Senator Blackburn and Senator Marshall, thank you both for joining us.
Delighted to join you, Sean, and thank you for spending so much time on this issue and bringing it forward to the American people. As you said, if they're watching mainstream media, they are not finding all of this out.
Can you explain, you read what I read, I'm sure, that they had made a private deal that Iran wouldn't get the money. Was that deal struck or not?
Well, they are telling us it was, but bear in mind, before the 20 of us sent them a letter saying rescind these waivers and never let Iran touch this money. And by the way, double down and implement the sanctions that had been put in place so that we stop Iran from producing oil. Well, before we sent that letter, they were silent on this money. We send the letter, then they come out after they've gotten all this pressure and they're saying, oh, we made a silent deal. We're not going to let Iran get that money. But then what we're saying is, look, you've got to formalize it. We have to pass legislation that will prohibit you from allowing them to have that money after all of the media attention dissipates on this Hamas attack on Israel.
And to add, more to the story, the Iranian nuclear deal's over. They're free to produce nuclear weapons, and everything I've read, Dr. Senator Roger Marshall, everything I've read has shown me that they're very close to being a nuclear-armed country. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's right, Sean. So Iran is probably at 60% enrichment right now, and what no one is pointing out is the science is that they can connect those centrifuges in series, and really they can make a nuclear warhead, I think, just in a matter of weeks. But this is once again why it was so important that Senator Blackburn got ahead on this with her letter. I would explain it like this, is that Iran had not cashed the check yet. So Joe Biden had sent them the check. They hadn't cashed it yet. So Senator Blackburn and her office caught him on this. So I do think, thanks to her efforts, we're going to be able to door for Iran to develop nuclear warheads.
Can you explain to me, Senator Marshall, exactly why it's a bad idea to offer relief for the Palestinian people? Do you agree with me? Do you concur with me that any money, American money that is sent to help innocent people, and I'm sure there are plenty of innocent people there, that it will never make it to them, and that Hamas, just like they've used cement that was meant to build hospitals and schools and electricity that was supposed to be used for infrastructure and other infrastructure projects, that the U.S. gave them hundreds of millions of dollars. Israel even contributed tens and hundreds of millions of dollars. They were used to build, a network of tunnels in preparation of days like what happened 2 Saturdays ago.
Right, you're spot on, Sean. Senator Blackburn and myself into Israel multiple times, and what you're describing is exactly what happens.
I've been in those tunnels, sir. I've been there with you.
Yes, sir. You bet. So the United States sends money to these Palestinian organizations, and they use it to feed the terrorist troops with, right? So that's exactly what goes on here. Again, I'm reminded of what President Eisenhower said once upon a time. He said that I hate war as only a soldier who's lived it can, one who's seen its brutality, its futility, and its stupidity. Sean, we got weeks and months ahead of us. This is going to be ugly. Israel needs an ally that's going to stand beside them no matter what. Not matter if, but no matter what. We need to stand beside them. We need to stop encouraging them. We have to cut the head of the snake off. Iran is the head of this snake, and we need to make sure all of it's...
Well, let me ask both of you, how do you plan on cutting off the head of the snake?
Well, one of the things that we can do is continue to go after all of this funding, these pockets. And you mentioned the UN Relief and Work Agency that is there for the Palestinian refugees, and President Trump cut all the funding to it. Joe Biden has really he's put in $730 million into that. And that is going into Hamas. They have hired Hamas-affiliated people. They used the facilities of UNRWA there in Gaza to store weapons. So we go after that. We continue to go after the $6 billion. We try to get Jake Sullivan fired because he has not served us well. And then let's put these Trump-era sanctions back in place. Right now, Iran has really juiced up their oil production to the point that they are making $1 billion a week selling oil to China and Russia. So those sanctions would go a long way to disallowing them to sell that oil.
And Sean, Senator Marshall, from my standpoint, elections have consequences. It's going to be hard to cut the head off this snake as long as Joe Biden is the president of the United States. He actually empowers Iran. If you think about what he's done as the president of the United States, we've seen Iran's federal reserves go from $6 billion to $60 billion under his watch. We've seen Iran grow its ghost armada from 20 ships now to 300 ships, allowing Iranian and Russian oil to be sold to China, as Senator Blackburn pointed out, to the tune of $1 billion a week. So we have to go after them with bank sanctions, stopping any type of nuclear research. In all ways, as far as I'm concerned, Iran is dead to me. It is the snake. It is the source of all evil. It funds all these terrorist organizations, and America's not safe as long as Iran is in power.
I guess I'm a little surprised, maybe only at one thing, and I'll say this to both of you because you know you're both spearheading this effort, and we have all these co-sponsors, but I only count 5 co-sponsors. Why isn't every Republican senator co-sponsoring this, Senator Blackburn?
We need to have every Republican co-sponsoring it. Indeed, we need to get to 60 co-sponsors on this because everyone should agree. Hamas is a terrorist organization. The U.S. named Hamas a terrorist organization in 1997.
Their own charter calls for the destruction of Israel.
That's right. They are funded by Iran. As you said, their charter calls for wiping Israel off the face of the earth. Iran backs them in that effort, and they likewise fund Hezbollah. Everybody should be on this with us, and Sean, we are continuing.
Everybody should be, but they're not.
Yes.
You know, even after the evidence came out that, in fact, it was the Islamic Jihad and acknowledged by even Hamas in this intelligence when they picked up communications and all the other visual evidence that has been released. You just had even earlier today, just a couple hours ago, hours and hours after the release of the evidence that it was not Israel that bombed this hospital. But of course, the media mob just ran with the talking points fed to them by the Hamas group and their representatives. There's Congresswoman Tlaib blaming Israel. Listen.
Continue to watch people think it's okay to bomb a hospital where children. You know what's so hard sometimes is watching those videos and the people telling the kids don't cry and like let them cry. And they're shaking, and somebody, you know this, they keep telling them not to cry in Arabic. They can cry, I can cry, we all can cry. If we're not crying, something is wrong. And so I'm telling you right now, President Biden, not all America's with you on this one. And you need to wake up and understand that. We are literally watching people commit genocide and killing the vast majority just like this. And we still stand by and say nothing. We will remember this. But all of you, you need to know, I swear to God, Allah, you are on the right side of history. You are. You're doing everything possible to save lives. What is wrong with that? Stop it with trying to politicize this.
A little scary, Senator Marshall.
It is. And Sean, you know, I'm a physician. I'm not going to go down to emotional depths that maybe some people would go here. Again, I think that, I want to make sure Americans realize that the blood of all these people is on the hands of Hamas and Iran. And, of course, this is a lie. What she is saying is an absolute lie. Israel did not bomb that hospital. that it was that the terrorists bombed it. And you're going to see this image over and over again with innocent women and children dying during this war. And that's why I say war is horrible. That's what President Eisenhower was trying to say. But the bloodshed, all the blood is on the hands of Hamas and Iran. If Hamas would lay down their arms and leave the Gaza Strip, this would be over with. But they're not going to do that. And here's just one more point I want to make. Meanwhile, Joe Biden is in Israel begging Israel to stand down. That's why Joe Biden is in Israel. He's weak-kneed. He's a gutless wonder. So while our American hostages are being tortured, Joe Biden's over there asking Israel to stand down. This is going to be a tough, I think, months over the next several weeks, months going on here where we're going to see people dying. And Americans can't buy this. Don't buy what the national media is going to feed them. Wait till the actual intelligence comes out. Look, this was terrorists from Hamas that killed these kids and the people in that hospital.
I got to run, but I appreciate both of you for your hard work.